Solemn ceremonies across the United States to mark 14 years since the Al-Qaeda terror attacks. The September 11th attacks claimed the lives of nearly 3,000 people in New York City, at the Pentagon, and in Pennsylvania. CCTV's Jim Spellman has been monitoring the events. Jim, hard to believe it's been 14 years, and I think we all remember where we were when all that unfolded.
The thing I can't forget about that morning was the color of the sky, and whenever the color of the sky is that deep blue, I think of September 11th, and everybody has some sort of memory. Today, people around the United States paused to remember all those who died in that attack and how the country has changed since then.
14 years after the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001, a moment of silence. And a reading of the names.
Michael Patrick Lafort.
Alan Charles LaFrance.
Of those killed in New York, Pennsylvania, and at the Pentagon.
When terrorists attacked the Pentagon, they tore a hole in this building. They tore at places in your hearts that may never heal completely.
In the years since that day, the United States has battled terrorism at home and abroad. Additional security has prevented another large attack in the U.S., but smaller scale assaults like the Boston bombing remain a constant threat. Overseas, the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq have had less clear results. Osama bin Laden, the leader of the Al-Qaeda group behind the 9/11 attacks, was killed, but the group's second in command, Ayman al-Zawahiri, is still at large and just this week released an audio message.
We pledge our allegiance to establish the rule of Sharia until it governs all Muslim countries.
As the U.S. waged a controversial war in Iraq, an Al-Qaeda offshoot developed and then morphed into the Islamic State, a terrorist group so brutal it has even alienated Al-Qaeda's leadership. The well-funded and organized terrorist group goes after anyone it considers to be non-believers. ISIL claims to hold 2 hostages, a Norwegian man and a Chinese man, and is demanding a ransom for their release.
It has been primarily verified that one of the 2 alleged hostages announced by media matches the personnel characteristics of a missing Chinese national. After learning the related situation, the Chinese government resolutely opposes any violence against innocent civilians.
The Islamic State has inspired lone wolf attacks around the world, and U.S. officials now say ISIL is using chemical weapons in Syria and Iraq.
The threat from terrorism may evolve, but our determination to hold these killers accountable remains constant.
In the meantime, the ideological struggle continues to threaten lives around the world and shape the ongoing debate, just as it has since those September 11th attacks. Asiye.
And you mentioned the ideological struggle, Jim. ISIL, Al-Qaeda have become very good at using the internet and social media to spread that ideological
things
message.
that didn't even exist on September 11th, they become so adept at using. As we've reported, those latest hostages were first made public in this. It's an ISIL magazine. They distribute it on social media. They use these publications and their videos to recruit and inspire their followers to take up arms. So far, they're winning the war of words online, and they seem to have an almost endless supply of recruits. There have been these sort of tactical wins by the United States and others, these coalition governments, but defeating that ideology has been so difficult. It often just seems to have almost no strategy for doing that.
You're absolutely right. Jim Spellman, thank you so much.